What is happening, flip flop fam? I'm super excited to have Venchele here with me today. But for people who don't know, who are you and what do you do?
Thank you for having me on the show. I am the founder of Pathway Coach Writing, which is a business that helps businesses and people use writing as a branding strategy and really making sure that we're converting jargon, right, in their lingo, in their industry, into a product that people can understand and can relate to. So that's a little bit about what I do. And then also I have a background in public health. And that's a separate conversation for another time, but that's a little bit about me. And then I am based in the Maryland area.
Awesome. So my first question would be, I hear a lot of the writing gurus out there, and I'm thinking of like a Hormozy, a Danco, that type say that the the best way to speak to somebody is at an eighth grade or lower level. And
Exactly.
the
Yes,
more
fact.
simple you can be, the experts don't look down on you because they understand it in a different way, and the average person understands what the heck you're saying. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. And I have to tell you that even the experts, like, they're secretly hoping that someone is going, like, there are going to be some articles that they read. They're like, what is the person saying? So they're secretly hoping that someone is going to, like, crack the code for them. So, yes, we're not alone here.
Yeah, yeah. So how do you help somebody with that? I come to you, I'm full of jargon. How do you help me dumb it down?
I think for me, it's really about just my practice in public health, right? Because I'm in the business of translating data into actionable insights. And so my whole strategy is really about integrating health and wellness into business practices. And it's especially for my business, Pathway Coach Writing, when someone comes to me, I really start with the very basics. I really try to help them understand their why. Why are they doing this? Why are they writing this book? Because I think that what people sometimes don't understand is that writing takes time, it takes effort. Even with AI, there's still some thought that needs to, be put into it and what have you. There's some reviews that still need to be done. And so to me, what makes my approach a little bit different is that I integrate wellness as an add-on and as a perk. I really treat it as an infrastructure. So I know, like, there was this chapter that I wrote for this Amazon best-selling book, Confident You, The Raw Conversations. And my chapter's name was Grace on the Page. And so I talk about wellness as something that, lives inside how decisions are made, how timelines are set. I'm giving you kind of like an insider peek on, like, how I work with clients here, and then how communication happens and how power is exercised. Because when someone comes to me as a writing coach, there is a power dynamic, and I always have to be mindful of that I do have expertise in the field, but the person in front of me may not. And so really trying to meet them where they are is very important to me, so that my clients don't feel overworked, that they experience like emotional joy, bliss, and doesn't feel that the writing process doesn't feel like a chore, So just like, when I think about public health, strategies really start with aligning internal practices with values of, like, that an organization claims publicly. That's the same concept that I apply when I work with clients. I really try to understand what makes them who they are, what makes them tick, what their priorities are, and then also what brings them joy, and how can I use that as an asset and as motivation, or like help them see that as motivation to continue doing their writing practice and what have you, and publish that book or manuscript.
So are you mainly helping with books, or are you doing other copy like websites and sales letters and
Yes, I do everything. I do sales letters, I do manuscripts, I do books, website content, and then I also help people pitch themselves to podcasts as well. But again, I'm one of these people. I'm not going to put something on my website that I haven't tried myself. The reason why I even decided to help people pitch themselves on podcasts is because I also had to go through that process myself and think about what worked, what didn't work. And understanding everyone's experience is going to be unique, right? And so yes, I practice what I preach. So yes.
Awesome. How did you get into this? What
I
led
just
up to you wanting to help people with this?
I have to say, I think, in life, there's always going to be a need for something. For example, you have physicians, they depend on people getting sick in order for their jobs to be relevant. And so for me, when I went into this business, I thought to myself, are there enough, people who look like me in the industry? That's the first thing. Are there enough women? And if there aren't, instead of me waiting for someone to wake up and say, okay, I'm going to do this, let me try it myself, because that's part of any business practice too. Like when you decide to become like a solo entrepreneur, I had to say to myself, okay, since I'm not seeing enough people, enough women, let me be part of the movement, so that people feel confident, to hire a writing coach, hire people who can understand their lived experiences without them having to rehash like an entire life story. And so that's the reason why I got into the business, really, for the passion of it, not for the money, for sure.
That's usually what makes the best business anyway.
Yeah. And then that thing for also too, I have to tell you, when I first started, I said to myself, if this doesn't pan out, because people never talk about that, there are certain business ideas, and this is something I had to come to grips with. I may not be the right messenger for it. And so it could have been a situation where I started this business and it just flopped. But somehow that didn't happen for me. It just continued to grow. And so that's something for people to think about too. Just because if a business idea doesn't work, try the next one. Keep trying until you find that thing that really drives your passion,
100%. It's the Edison quote, right? I've never failed. I just
Yes.
found 10,000 ways that didn't work.
Exactly.
Yeah, I totally get it. So, would you say you're like a ghostwriter, or are you just giving people tips as they go to refine things?
Well, I'm both. I'm both. I know that I had many projects coming my way last year for ghostwriting. I have to tell you, this was like my first time even trying it out. So yes, I would consider myself a ghostwriter, and then also someone who does line editing, so giving you feedback, content feedback. I also review AI content as well, because I think there's always that human touch that's most needed. And then also, even when I'm reviewing AI content as well, since we're in this, it's not going away, it's integrated in our system. I always try to help clients see the blind spots, see what they're not seeing, looking at it from a customer, someone who would potentially buy their book, how I'm looking at it, and then what the needs are and the wants in the market. So yes, so I
Hmm.
do all of that. I do the market research for them. I do the line editing piece. I provide tips and guidance. And I'm essentially like a cheerleader, because in the end, I'm not the one writing the book. They are. They have to be satisfied with the product, regardless of what I tell them. And then also they have the right to not to accept the recommendations too.
Yeah.
So,
Tools for the toolbox, right?
seriously.
I gave a keynote in Austin last year, and it was information versus inspiration.
Mm,
And I still believe it's why I buy real art and I don't buy prints, right? I believe that there is something there's energy. If you believe that we are all energy, which we are, right?
yes, yes, we are.
And there's an energy that you put into art that is transferred into that art. And I think forever that will be the thing that AI misses.
That's
And
true.
I believe in using AI to help you start something, to work through an idea, but
Right.
you can tell it can be extremely well written, but you can tell that it's AI. And I think it's a subconscious knowing
True.
that you didn't put your heart into it.
That's true. I agree. I agree. And I can detect it myself. And that's the reason why no judgment zone here. If you are using AI, go ahead and use it the way you want to. But yeah, at a certain point, like you do realize, okay, this is AI. This is not a human being writing this.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I use chat a lot and I wrote my two books and not with AI at all. And I have hundreds and hundreds of hours of uploaded video of me just talking, which is not obviously not AI. And it's pulling from that to write in my voice. So it does a really good job because it has hundreds and
Yeah,
hundreds of thousands of words of how I speak. And I still rewrite everything that goes out.
absolutely. No, that's the way to go.
Yeah. So where can people find you? Where do you hang out?
I hang out on all social media sites. People can find me on my website at www.pathwaycoachwriting.com, on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, I'm there, and on Spotify.
Awesome. Well, we'll have all that in the show notes. So the last guest left you a question. You get to leave the next guest a question. Before I ask you yours, which I think you'll find apropos, what would you like to ask the next guest?
Ah, what would be the question? What would be the question? Hmm, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'm trying to think. Um, I don't want to say, I think it's a little bit cliche to ask someone like, what is their why? But have they found their purpose in their life? Maybe that's the question. Have they found their purpose? And if not, what are they doing to address it?
I love it. All right. So your question, which was left by Brandon Leibowitz, is where are you finding value in guest podcasts?
Where am I finding value? I find value in guest podcasting because it gives me a platform to, share my ideas and share my thoughts. It almost feels like a mini TEDx talk, except that you just have an audience of, well, in this case, it's just the host and I, right? And then you have the audience that's in the background, but I can't see them. And so to me, guest podcasting has been very helpful to me because it has brought definitely visibility for pathway coach writing, and then also given me a platform, to practice my public speaking skills, to also reflect after each podcast session. Like I'm always reflecting on those conversations. Like, what did I learn from the conversation? And then where could I improve? Because that's part of growth, that's part of life, if I'm not growing, then I'm not having fun. That's how I see it. And so, yes, there's a lot of value in guest podcasting when you use it skillfully, when you use it with intentionality, and when you add value to people. I think it really can pay higher dividends.
I love it. I love it. Well, it's been a ton of fun having you on. Is there anything else you want to leave the audience before we bounce?
I would just say that, if people are, scrolling on Amazon and, you are looking for your next book, definitely check out my latest, what my chapter in the book, Raw Confident You, The Raw Conversations. It's an Amazon bestseller. It was published actually on December 31st. So again, if you have a chance, definitely check it out. And it's also, you'll find stories of women, other women who have chose resilience and courage to tell their stories. And so it's a great read.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Venchele. We'll have to do it again.
Yes, we will.
All right, Flip Flop fam, that does it for me and Venchelle. Make sure you check out all of her information in the show notes. And until next time, keep it on the flip side. Cheers.